welcome to Sorare Thursday Club, episode 8. Alongside me, we've got the usual crew, Sorare Mambo and Dornado. And we also got our first guest, special guest. Well, technically our second guest, actually. Dornado was the first, but we still haven't got rid of him. So our second guest ever on the show, Disco Stu.
Hello
Disco Stu.
How are we?
How did you get the name Disco Stu?
Well, I mean, self-explanatory, isn't it? Back in the
You like
days,
Stu?
Yeah, just Stu.
King of the disco.
Yeah, exactly. Back in my university days, I think.
Not going to go any further than that. You got a wife and kids now.
Yeah, exactly. Hence
Fair
why
enough,
the principal name Stuart written in the at the top.
Oh yeah, it needs to say AK Disco Stu in there, doesn't it?
I know.
All business when it comes to podcasts.
It's the business end of things, isn't it?
So Stu, you're wisely entrusting us three with £800 worth of picks today. How do you feel about
that? Well, I was feeling all right until you said that, but okay, I think you guys seem a better place than me.
Maybe
by the look of your jacket, I think you probably need all the footballing advice you can get, mate. So
yeah,
we'll happily help you.
I'll pull that down a bit. There we go. You can't see it now.
Should we start with a Sorare Bomb to take the edge off?
Yes,
let's do it.
Shouldn't we?
What sort of Thursday club would it be without a bomb?
As we got a new guest as well.
Yeah,
Thatcher's Haze for me, and a nice little Havulin whiskey.
Sante boys.
Yeah, I've gone the same.
Cheers.
Thatcher's Haze and whiskey. Not looking forward to it.
Disgusting, as always.
Holy shit. It's so cold.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
It's the most popular bit of our podcast where everyone just listens to the silence followed by gulping.
Yes. For those only listening on audio, 4 grown men just drank bombs in their tucked away little offices on a Wednesday night.
Anyway, right, let's get stuck in. So, purpose of the day, Stu has entrusted us with 800 quid, which we are going to attempt to build a gallery with. So, Stu's given us pretty much free reign. I think you said you want... What was your terms? Well, I want to make money.
Guaranteed returns, yeah. Guaranteed
return. Disclaimer: that might not happen. We're going to try our best. So the format we're going to use, we're going to build it on a watch list today. The plan was to buy live, but Stu, you've had a little bit of problems, haven't you, with Sorare?
Yeah, fund liquidity. No, the money doesn't seem to have transferred from my wallet into the account. It's pending, but it's been pending for a fair few hours now. So yeah, it's just a bit of a shame, but we can still.
They do say customer experience is everything, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
If it goes wrong, Johnny's got a lot of contacts in the Discord.
Oh, a lot. Yeah, I'll get onto my Play Sharper crew. You know, sure.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal in the Sorare sphere nowadays.
Yeah,
nice.
Definitely.
Right, so anyway, the format we're going to do, we're going to build it on a watch list, and then once Sorare decides to let you have your money, then we can purchase the players.
Yeah.
The way we'll run it is we've each got a pick for each position. So we run 10 positions, 9 of which are rare, 1 of which is a limited keeper. We'll start off with the rare goalkeeper because it's generally the priciest position. Then we'll go into the rare forwards, and then we'll go back to normal, so defenders, midfielders, etc. That's it, really. I think the plan is we'll give you an option each, and then and our rationale for it. In fact, just a quick sort of 30-second, 1 minute rundown, 1 minute probably, and then after each of us have given you that option, you then pick which one you like the sound of, or if you decide you don't want to go with any of them, then that's fair as well. Pick your own. I wouldn't blame you. Retain the funds, exactly.
I think, what was it you said we were thinking of aiming for rare 240, weren't we? So,
yeah.
Aim at getting the threshold in as the main way of earning money. And then maybe a rare 220 team so we can use those limiteds from the amateur leagues to when the goalie doesn't have a game, or for a bit more utility. And then the limited goalie again was to be paired with other teams. Give us a flexibility, yeah? That was what we were aiming for.
Yeah. Just trying to get the most utility as possible right now.
And as most enjoyment. And as most enjoyment as possible.
It's a funny time, isn't it? Because you've obviously got all the league running, so you could argue it's best time, so you've got pick of anyone. But equally, Europe's about to end, and then do you want to hold European players and then be stuck over the summer, but equally getting them cheaper? Or do you want to go summer players, pay a bit extra, but probably get more of a return potentially quicker if you get it right? Who knows? Let's find out anyway. That's on you, Stu. You're going to have to make that pick. Right.
Yeah.
So, starting with goalkeepers, who wants to go first?
Ricky, go on, mate. You crack on.
Fine, I'll go first.
You want?
So I was thinking about, I think we've got quite like a bottom of prices at the moment, haven't we? So there's actually a lot more value around than I thought when we started putting this together. Initially, I've aimed for like America, Asia. I want to play over the summer. I want Stu winning money right now and all throughout the summer. I don't want to be messing around, wait until next year. Try to find any Asian or American goalie in rare is not really going to happen. Tim Melia is probably the only option there, and he's just kicked my under 23 keeper out to the bench, so I've got no time for him. So my rare goalie, I went down the European route, and I have gone for a really nice English-sounding name in Samuel Walker. So Samuel Walker is the goalkeeper at Kilmarnock. He looks really nice. He's got a nice moustache, which I think is an early bonus. What I like about him is he plays every game, and he can put in decent scores, 82, 65, 61, 60. He's going to face a lot of shots, so he's going to be a busy man. He does have the potential to put up decent scores. But his cap is low, you can see here, so you can stick him in that 240 as your goalie, and he's not really going to push the rest of your team over its cap limit, because you have to spend 240 points, essentially, in these L15 scores, is what your team's allowed to add up to each week. He's not going to add a lot to it every week, because, in general, Kilmarnock do shit. But Scotland's about to break. So the top half plays each other extra times, and then the bottom half plays each other extra times. Kilmarnock are in the bottom half, so he should finish the season with a fairly easier run of games. He's not going to be bumping into Celtic and Rangers and getting battered 6-0 to end the season, which means his end of the season should bring some better scores along with a low L15, meaning he fits into your team quite well. And he only costs 160 quid, which is absolute fuck all for a rare goalie. So good short-term utility for a cheap price and always plays. That is my selling point, and is Tash. So
that's so cheap.
That is why I'm going for Sam Walker.
Stuart, you have links to Scotland as well, don't you? You're a secret Scotsman?
Secret, yeah. I'm half Scottish. My dad's Scottish. So
there you go.
Wow, you've really tapped into his heritage there. I like that. That's clever. Damn it! Why don't I think of that?
And then the heritage. Yeah. John, who you got?
Well, I'm going to start by, as we're doing business, I'm going to, I've got the old shirt and tie because we're doing business. We're doing business.
Nice.
I was hoping that would sort of get me a few extra points because I'm not sure my pick.
I've noted it down.
Okay, so my pick. So it's a lot higher value than Ricky's pick. So, you can see that as a bad thing. It costs you more money. Or you can see that as a good thing because it means they're a hell of a lot better and unlikely to get relegated like Kilmarnock's players are going to be. And then that will leave you with absolutely no utility whatsoever. And your card will be worth £10.
They're not in the relegation zone. They're not in the relegation zone.
Yeah, but they're in the relegation 6, and one of those teams gets relegated. So
bottom one.
It's risky. Anyway, so my player is Ethan Horvath. He's a bit of a so rare legend. I don't really know why, but people always seem to go on about him. He's a Nottingham Forest player, but is on loan at Luton at the moment, who are actually flying high in the Championship. Championship being one of the leagues that is still covered on Sorare, so don't worry about that. They are in the playoff sort of region at the moment, looking likely that they're going to get playoffs. They've got, I think, 10 games left of the season, likely to have an extra 2 at least in playoffs, so it's just an extra bit of utility. In my opinion as well, Luton probably won't go up to the Premier League, which means he'll either stay with Luton and they'll sign him permanently, or he'll go back to Forest when Forest inevitably get relegated, I would say, because they're struggling. And they certainly won't keep Keylor Navas and Henderson. So I'd say whatever happens, he will end up a first string keeper next season as well. He's currently, what was the price? I think it was 0.2. So he's £370. So it's quite a big bulk of your budget. But it's certainly worth it. He's a lot better player. He's going to get you good scores. He future-proofs your team. Yeah, that's my pick. I think he's the one.
Nice, mate. Nice.
Johnny trying to mortgage your future with his first pick. Solid.
Yeah.
Right. So who have I got for you? Who is the right choice? He goes by the name of Neto. And he'll stop the ball going in the Neto. So he Bournemouth keeper.
Is that the only reason you picked him?
Yeah, pretty much. He's a Bournemouth keeper, obviously. He's just signed a new, is it 2 or 3 year deal? Either way, he's just signed a new deal. 315 quid for an ex-Barcelona keeper who's going to play every single game. Just signed a long-term deal. If Bournemouth go down, he's automatically the best keeper in the Championship, probably the best team in the Championship. If Bournemouth stay up, he still plays every game. You'll pick him up for 315 to 347. I mean, you won't have to pay 347. You'll probably pay about last one went for 300 quid, so probably 300, 320. 50s is L15. Stu, you probably have no idea why we keep referring to L15. So when you enter the tournaments, they have like a threshold or a maximum number you can hit for the last 15. So the one that you typically earn, what was the old ETH threshold that you're used to, is capped 240. So the total sum of this number, L15, for your whole team has to be 240 or under. And if they hit 250 as a number plus as a point, then they win you your ETH, which is why the lower the L15, the better if they are half decent players. 50 is kind of not the lowest, but it's also not over the top. And I think to have a solid keeper who's super, super safe, I think can't go far wrong with this guy. In fact, so much so, he's my keeper.
Funnily enough, I own your goalie and I own Johnny's goalie. I like them both.
That's a good.
Do you own Horvath? Do you? I didn't know you owned Horvath.
Yeah.
In rare.
So anyway, that's your first 3 options. So you got Horvath, Neto, and what's the Scotsman called?
Samuel Walker, dear boy.
Samuel Walker. So the question is, who are you going to choose and why?
I don't know. If I'm completely honest, I thought this would be more of a kind of collective discussion. I feel like I've been pitched at, and as such, I feel I'm going to let 2 people down quite heavily. It's a bit more. It's a bit more confrontational than I was expecting in terms of something on the line. But
Dragon's Den.
I would say, I don't know, if I'm honest. The reason being that I don't, obviously, as a comparison, obviously looking at Ricky's pick versus the other 2, yes, it's half the price-ish. So my thought process is I don't know what knock-on effect that will have on the other players that I can therefore afford. And so is it a case of, do I go for a cheaper goalie because it'll allow me a better outfield team, or do I park the bus with a decent goalie and then So I'm not completely hung up on anyone at the moment. Is that all right place to be?
So a bit of advice, mate, is with keepers is generally speaking, none of them actually score that highly. It's more about having a keeper who's safe and definitely going to play. So if you're looking for a keeper, basically it's value versus security, I would say. So if Ricky's confident that his is going to play and keep his spot, I would say it's probably the better pick out of the three, personally.
You could always change your mind at the end if you've got money left, or
you don't have to make a decision now. I think all three are options for sure, but like genuinely, this is me trying to pitch, but like the only one that has a slight more risk, I'd say, is Ricky's because of the relegation issue, but that might not happen. But like being that Jesse's is Premier League, but if Jesse gets relegated, there is still in a covered league, if that makes sense. And if mine shouldn't get relegated, but then Ricky's is half the price, so that's why that is like that. So it's priced accordingly. So, and I think it is difficult for you to make a decision like right now on that, because it depends on what the future picks we suggest you are. Like if it means you get much better players in other positions, then it might be worth it. So
we'll tell you what then. Why do we add two of them to the shortlist? So we'll put Ricky's choice, the budget choice, and pick one out of the other two, and at the end you can decide based on what you've got left who you're going to keep in.
Yeah, just think of the effort I put in to put this shirt and tie on.
I know.
When you make
I know. This is what I was hoping to avoid.
I think maybe Jesse's, because Horvath's on loan and you don't actually know he's going to play next year.
There's risk involved with Horvath, in my opinion.
I do think if we look at, aside from the amount of effort that Johnny's put in, obviously, if I look at the two goalkeepers, I do think that Neto is a more nailed on guarantee to play regularly than our mate Ethan.
Yeah,
I have to agree, mate. Tell you what, then.
I mean, I think you're wrong.
Only time will tell.
No, I think Neto. All jokes aside, I also think Neto is a very good keeper, and you know he is older, but he's just signed a new 3-year deal, as Jesse said, and I think that's a great sign. He's the club captain, isn't he, as well? I don't know if you mentioned that. Like,
captain.
He's been an instant hit with Bournemouth. I've ended up watching a fair amount of Bournemouth highlights over the last few weeks because I want them to lose every game due to Everton being down the bottom. So, and he's been doing really well. Like they could have easily lost a lot of games they've won if it wasn't for Neto. So I am talking up Jesse's pick a bit here, but I'd probably pick Neto as well, to be honest with you.
Okay,
there you go. We've arrived, and we've only taken 18 minutes to get past the first pick.
Let's get on the pick two.
Strong 3-hour podcast on the side.
Yeah.
So pick two. If anyone's still with us now, pick two. We're going in at forward because typically, Stu, again, not always, but typically forward is the second hardest position to secure, and as in like there's not as many around that decent, and they also typically are more expensive. So we're going to go there before we go defence and midfield. So Ricky, you ready for yours?
I am indeed. Here we go. I am picking up. This is my most expensive pick, along with the goalie. I think they're about the same price. Sorare legend Josef Martinez. He's got nice bleach blonde hair. He also has a tash, which apparently might become a theme. He's moved to Inter Miami, so his coach is Phil Neville, who is obviously among the elite managers in world football. He also plays for his national team. He's historically scored incredibly well, and so he's been awesome. He used to play for Atlanta, moved to Inter Miami this year. Hasn't started off too well. He's got really low scores, L15, so he'll fit into, the 240 team as well. Fits in nicely under your cap to mean you can keep rolling him out and you don't have to worry about getting anyone else in. But if you look at his historical scores, he's got lots of dark greens and greens in there. He was the GOAT of Sorare previous seasons before he got injured. And he's a big name. Because he's a big name and just moved, he's going to play all summer. And I think his name means he helps retain some of his value all the time, rather than a complete unknown that if they drop off in form, no one cares about him anymore. So my pick is bleach blonde Josef Martinez under Phil Neville's guidance.
Okay. Big Philly.
Phil Neville. What a boy.
John Doe, who have you got for us?
Right, so I've gone for Karol Swiderski, someone I think Jesse knows quite well. I think, do you own his limited or have talked about him before?
I own his limited,
Fair
yeah.
amount, but he is. Yeah, there we go. So he, despite looking like an unborn fetus, he is actually incredibly good at football. He's also got international utility. He starts for Poland, which is no mean feat, with Lewandowski up there too. He's getting a lot of suitors from Europe in terms of, I think Lazio have been linked with him, you know, big teams. He's, I think, recently declared that he's still committed to Charlotte. So, you know, that's a sign. I think he's probably at least going to do
a great girl
there. So I'm thinking future.
Yeah, top class.
Yeah. So he is of a similar value, I think, to Ricky's pick, Martinez. So he's 0.11, I think is roughly what he's going for, which actually I think is massively cheap. When I was looking through MLS forwards, he was one that jumped out at me immediately. It's been underpriced. I think he takes their penalties. He's been slightly injured, I think, the last couple of weeks. So maybe that's why there's been a little bit of a price dip on him, you know, paired with the normal dip that's been on So Rare. I think Charlotte are a good team. They did well last season in their first season as a new club. They haven't started the season that well this year. I think they're somewhere in the bottom half, but there's no relegation in MLS, so there's not to worry about any of that sort of thing. But I think he's a good pick. He's a key man for a decent team in MLS. He's going to give you good summer utility. I think he's good. He's very good. I'd get him in. If I had ETH right now, I'd be buying him. So that's as good as I can say, really.
I like Swiderski. He's also, I think you probably said, Polish international. He played the other day, and regular appearance on How I Met Your Mother. All right,
a little bit, yeah.
Here we go. Here's mine. So, where's my boy? There we go. Right. So I'm going for Brian White from the MLS, plays for Vancouver. You can pick him up, 82 quid at the minute, floor price. Last one went for 89, which means you can probably get him fairly cheap right now. I would say, yeah, probably around 80 quid, maybe even less. Why have I gone for him? He fits the cap well. So I'd say anyone under 45 and under is decent for the ETH cap, or 240 cap. His score wise, he's obviously half price the other two as well. He plays pretty much every game. Score wise, he's hitting 60s, 70s when he's getting goals. He typically plays up front, although he's played against CAM last match, which is why he got a higher score. But the main reason I picked him is because I had a look at his stats, or it popped up earlier, that he's had the most touches of any forward in the whole league in the opposition's penalty box, so which suggests that he's probably got a lot more to come. As in, you know, he scored a couple of goals already, but getting that much opportunity is probably going to be a lot more. And he's fed by the David Beckham of the MLS, Julian Gressel.
Ryan Gould.
Yeah, he's going to get.
Oh, not Gould. Surely.
Yeah,
Gould.
no, not Gould. So yeah,
Gressel's
Brian White is my option for you, Stu. Okay. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I like it. I guess from a team point of view, obviously, those forwards are all MLS players, which is great. How does that? What issues am I going to have if I go, European keeper, MLS striker, blah blah blah, or because obviously I can't play them then at the same time?
Yeah. So the reason we've done that is because the MLS keepers are stupid money at the minute. So we've given you keeper options for 150-ish or 350-ish and below. Whereas if you go MLS keeper, you're talking like for like a solid starter, you're talking like 500 quid, which is way too much of your budget, I would say. And so what the reason we put these forward is you'll have a European keeper who can play as your cap 240 or your grinding team until the end of the European season. Hopefully that earns you some or enough or wins you a card that you can then get someone else in for the summer, but probably not, which means over the summer you'll be then using your limited goalkeeper, which is the one that we'll get later on, which is from MLS or Asia, allowing you to enter the summer leagues. So you're going to have to be a little bit patient, just because the time of year
Yeah,
entering.
that's fine.
You
I'm
have to be
happy with
patient,
that.
basically.
Get an
Yeah.
understanding.
Try and earn as much money as you
Good
can
question,
in that
though.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, again, off face value, because I haven't done all the research, I'm just looking at the nice shiny colours in the names. I think I like the look of Jess's and yours, Johnny. So, what am I narrowing it down to two, or am I?
I think two is probably a good idea. Then
You can
get
have
to
two
the
strikers,
end.
yeah.
I would, yeah. I think you need.
Two. And
I think you probably need one elite striker. And the only thing that concerns me about Jesse's is their main striker's about 3 weeks from coming back from an injury, isn't he? And then what happens? So,
I mean, he does typically play, but there's no guarantee. But you're paying 80 quid.
yeah,
80
exactly.
quid for that. Out of the three options, Johnny is the most secure one because Rick's option is the best player, but he's got chocolate knees, so he could get injured at any point. Mine is playing because someone else is injured. Johnny's is probably the best option overall.
And trouble always seems to follow Joseph Martinez, I swear. He's like the Ravel Morrison of MLS.
He's a DP striker, though, isn't he? On big money, he's going to play if he's.
I know he is, but he was Atlanta's main lad, and then he didn't get played, and then he obviously had an argument. I don't know. I mean, I think they're all good options. Jesse's is priced accordingly with the fact that he's not quite as good or nailed, but he's half the price. But
and for the time you're using your European keeper, he is going to be playing. So,
I think you probably got to go Jesse's and one of mine, Ricky's probably. But it's I think we're ours both roughly the same in price.
Yeah.
So was it Martinez and who do you have, John, again?
Swiderski. So I think he wants to put Swiderski in white on the shortlist then.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Job done. I would say Swiderski is the best off the whole list, personally. That's a good choice.
Can we just? I think he's really cheap. Like, all jokes aside, do you not think he's cheap? Like, if I had the money right now, I'd be putting 150 quid on him as my rare.
It's because they're playing.
It's because he's been
crap, haven't they?
Yeah, they've had 5 game weeks. He's been sub once, came on twice, didn't play once, and only started once, which is
he's been injured though. He has a niggly injury.
And he's been playing internationally, and they got Capetti. But so this is the other thing with the MLS and Asia's like MLS times 1,000 is there's like more unknown or like risk to it than like the European leagues. The players are less secure, but it's just the way it is. Right. Anyway, next one. So defender, I guess we'll start off with. Rick, you ready?
You want to move on to a defender, yeah?
Unless you would rather start elsewhere.
Absolutely not. Let's go. This guy is on my fridge in the form of a magnet. He also has a moustache and dyed blonde hair. He is probably either first or second on my most favorite players in the world of football. Plays for Consadole Sapporo in Japan. His name has fuck in it, which I think is quite funny. And the rest of his name is Fuck You More I, which I like as a name. I own 4 copies of him.
Great name.
Yeah, he plays centre back. He's like a ball playing centre back. He takes some set pieces, which is good for his score. His team has started quite well this season. You can see this is all around. This is like the extra bit score they get for doing good things like passing, tackling, crossing, that type of thing. And his is really vibrant for a defender, which you don't always get. And historically, he has put up some really big scores. You can see these big hundreds up here, 90s. He's got the ability to peak. He can sometimes he put in a crap score, but then he can put in an absolute top dollar, which is what you want when you're trying to make the threshold or win big prizes. You want your players to spike occasionally, and he's got it in the locker. And his price is £31, which I think is sexy. So crazy. Overall, I just think he's a goat, and I think he's awesome, and he can score well. And Yeah, his name's funny. So I pick Fuck You Maury.
Can't argue with that. John,
Very nice. You can't. Right, so I also have Fukimori, but I'm going to go for one of my other defenders. So I think Fukimori is a good option. He was one of my choices. I think so. Okay, so I've gone for Kenneth Powell. Don't know if you guys know much about him. I think one of our colleagues in the Briz pool owns him. He plays for QPR, so you're looking at a decent amount of midweek and weekend utility in the next sort of 2 months up until the end of May. Championship, I always like having championship players. I've got a few myself, as they do tend to squeeze so many games into midweek, and that will hopefully correlate well with the players you pick. So I always find you have a slightly better chance of winning prizes in midweek than weekends. So that's why I like to go for championship players. But he's going for about £50 at the moment, which I think is really cheap for his cards. Let's look at his S5 scores. I'm pretty sure he scores very well. He is very good scorer. He's quite a peaky scorer. So I've mentioned this before, but I really like having players that either score really well or can fall flat on their face. I think he follows that sort of line. I think he's a fullback for QPR. He bombs up the wing. He gets really good AA. Maybe not so much recently, but we're looking down here. He scores really well, irrespective of where he gets decisives. Look at some of these scores here. I think look at this. It's insane. I think he's an absolute beast. And I think for less than 50 quid, you'll probably be able to get for him. I think he's an absolute bargain. And having done all this research myself for players for you, it's led me to believe I need to put more ETH in and buy some of these players, because there's some absolute bargains out there. And Kenneth Powell is one of them. I'd be definitely getting him in.
Nice. Right, here's my boy. Robin Janssen, Orlando City. So he is their main defender. Ignore the L15 because he had some time out. But why have I picked him? He's 41 quid. You can pick him up for, I look at his old sales. Yeah, pick him up for about 41 quid still. His lowest price is 45. Historical score-wise, this is why he was out, which is why his scores are lower. He's pretty rock solid in the sense that he'll hit sort of around the 50 mark, maybe a bit higher. But that's without clean sheets. So once he starts hitting his clean sheets, that's when you're looking at scores closer to 70s, because he gets really high, or 60s because he gets really high AA. So for me, he's a player who's at the minute kind of shows worse than he actually is, and his historical data again is the same. He doesn't have to do a lot because he's a ball playing centre back to hit decent scores. He's also, if you're looking at getting him now, Minnesota are a pretty poor team. DC United a very poor team. They got them at home. Galaxy are average. Montreal are really poor. Columbus letting goals. So I think he's got very favourable fixtures as well. 46 is his sort of cap or cost price to enter the leagues at the minute, which is again is reasonable. 31 years old, so he's got plenty of time. I don't see him going anywhere. So yeah, Robin Janssen is my suggestion as a D. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, they're all good. They're all good choices, actually. I think obviously the main difference with Johnny's and yours is obviously the European leagues as opposed to the summer leagues. It's a tricky one, that, because they're all quite. I'd like them all.
You could buy them all at the end of the day. Like
you could get a couple if you want.
I think if we're going to recommend another defender, aren't we? So you could end up with 6 defender recommendations.
Yeah,
that's true. The only thing with defenders as well,
I'm happy to add. If it allows, I'm happy to add them all to the watch list, and see how the other defenders compare.
We'll trim them down at the end.
Trim them down
Yeah.
at the end, yeah.
And it might be
you
good,
are the boss, so
then you can blend, because Asia and America obviously play at the same times, and Europe plays at different times. So then you can blend your score together based on
like that. Perfect. So we're going to add Janssen to the list. I'm just doing it in the background. Janssen, Fukumori.
You will.
He was actually on my list as well. I think for his price is a great pickup. And JD, who do you have?
Yeah.
I couldn't. Mine was Kenneth Powell. I actually genuinely couldn't believe Fukumori's price when I was researching it.
Yeah.
It was
You
crazy.
can buy him now for £31.
Yeah, it's ridiculous for his scores.
Plus, I think he's 30-year-old, which in
29.
Asian terms is like being a 20. So he's got like another 10 years of utility.
He's 29.
They played
Jansen's 28, and Powell is 23. So exciting time ahead.
Right,
Nice.
midfield anyway. Ricky T, you're on. Let's go.
Okay. You'll never believe who I've got for you now. You'll be an idiot not to buy him. Jackson Yuill, San Jose Earthquakes player in the MLS. I just mentioned that Fukumori is probably my second favorite player on the platform. That's because this guy is my favorite. If we're talking about players for cap 240, I need him to hit you 50 points a week. This guy was born to hit just over 50 points a week. That's what he does. That is his bread and butter. If we look at his chart, his average always sort of stays around the same, and he always pumps in these just above average scores. Makes him extremely useful as your midfield base for a cap 240 team to win ETH every week. He fills that role perfectly for £52. He's absolutely nailed in the San Jose team. Will play for them every week unless he gets injured or suspended. San Jose have actually done all right this season start. They've done better than expected, and his AA scores down here are actually decent for someone playing in the middle of the park. 29, 25, 22, 20. He is absolutely perfect at filling that cap 240 midfield role. And he also has a moustache. So I am 100% so far.
It's a common theme in our scouting.
Yeah, so my pick is Jackson Yuill. You'll not regret it.
Nice.
Johnny,
what you got?
I like it. I've gone for... Is my screen sharing? Sorry, everybody. This guy is my pick of the whole thing for me. I think he's just unreal. Cheap. His scores are insane. The problem is he plays in Russia, which is the nation we don't really talk about anymore. It's sort of been completely put to one side by Sorare, quite rightly, obviously. It's not a league that's easy to follow now. I mean, it wasn't that easy to follow previously, but basically all platforms have decided to not list scores and stuff, but they are still covered by Sorare. They will be still covered by Sorare. Sorare data still lists their fixtures. I think the good thing about Russia in general is that they play, because they had a winter break, they do play a bit later into the summer. So they play until, I think, the sort of 7th or 8th of June, which gives you an extra sort of 3-4 weeks of utility, sort of takes it a bit closer to when the European season starts back up again, the normal European season, which is good. So if you look at his price, he's going for about 50 quid at the moment, which I think is an absolute bargain. I can remember when he was at least 5 times that. I mean, I know it's a big dip, but that to me seems crazy cheap for a player who's young. He plays for Russia. He's got international utility. He is playing for one of the best teams in Russia. CSK do really well this season. These are his scores. I think, those are pretty impressive scores. It's not even that he's peaky really. He's either 45, 50, which is a very solid score, or getting sort of 75 to 100 points, which I think can not only win you the E threshold, but can win you cards on top of that, which will be great for a gallery of your size, the size it will be after this. You look at his recent games here, he's got 5 decisives in his last 3 games, I think that is, or was that 4 decisives, sorry, in his last 3 games. Even when he doesn't get decisives, he's got a good AA. He's a solid player. He ticks every box for me. He's got a low last 15 score of 46, which is lower than the average required for a 240 cap 240 team. I think he's a winner, and once again a player that if I had the ETH, I'd be buying him straight away. think he's a bargain at the moment.
That is very cheap, especially for international, and considering his cap and L5. I
Doesn't
like
have a
it.
mustache though, which I don't like.
Yeah.
'Cause I also like mustaches, but you know
That could be a deal breaker.
Extremely good player.
Good
Does play in
suggestion.
Russia though, so probably likes Putin. And that L5 will start to leak into his L15, make him.
Yeah, there is that, but
he's class.
Crazy price at the moment. Unbelievable price.
Nice, good shout. Stu, do you like Ronan Keating?
Do I?
You do, don't you? Do you like going to the park?
Do I? With Ronan Keating?
God, I know where this is going.
I'll tell you what you'll like, is you'll like Keaton Parks.
Nice.
So I picked this guy especially for you.
Seamless transition.
So,
what a segue that was.
Keaton Parks. Let's tell you a little about this guy. So L15 to 42, which obviously is very kind again. And I like anything under 50, but ideally under 45. He is 66 quid, which you'll probably have to pay to pick him up. Historically, really big player for New York. So if you look at the scores here again, Ricky talks about peaks. I agree. It's nice to see that he can do that. Since he's come back, this looks a bit crap because he got injured. Then he ended up just making sub appearances while he was coming back from his injury. And then he's been pretty flat consistent since he's come back around sort of the 50-ish scores. But if he's hitting mainly 57s, 58s, my thinking with him is it's going to cost you 42, 43 to enter the tournament, which is probably going to increase your chances of winning your ETH on the cap 240. I think out of all the suggestions, I actually like Jackson Ewell the most for entering the 240 regularly. But if you want to earn some ETH quickly in the initial weeks, I think Keaton Parks gives you more opportunity because I think he will score higher than 42 or 43 in those first few games until it catches up. So my suggestion, and also because I know you like Ronan Keating and the park, is Keaton Parks.
Keaton Parks was actually my next midfield choice. He was slated as my midfield, and he started off at Liverpool Warriors.
Did he? You know that?
Wow.
Ex-Liverpool Warrior player.
Where do they even play?
Don't know. They'll probably be above Everton in a couple of years. Yeah.
Well, they can't. That can't be a Liverpool-based team. There must be another Liverpool in America or something.
Probably.
I imagine so,
probably.
Yeah.
Stu, who's your midfielder, mate?
I think I'll go on this pick, Jackson Ewell.
Ooh, straight in there. No, even like consideration of thinking about it.
Well, like I said, I've got them all listed down, the pros, the cons, and my list of orders, so they can be revisited.
Yeah.
Comparison with the next midfield pick, but I quite like that. Good price point and seems reliable.
He's rock solid. The good thing about Ewell, which Rick mentioned, is he will play, unless he's injured, he'll play every single game. And you're pretty much always guaranteed.
He's a captain, isn't he?
Yeah.
Three good picks, though.
Nice.
Yeah. All solid. Right, so
I'm
we've
absolutely baffled you haven't picked Obliakov, though. I'll tell you that now.
got hot competition.
Absolute
today, mate.
joke.
So
I'm going to have to take this time and put it around my head.
If we get the old shortlist up, just to give us a little bit of a review. So far, we've added in. To go oldest added in. Can we do that? I'm sure we can. Yes. So we started off with Neto in sticks. We added in Brian White and Swiderski because we couldn't choose. Defensive wise, we procrastinated even more and went for all three of them: Janssen, Fukumori, and Pau. And then you've flipped it on its head and gone, nah, I'll just have one, and went for Jackson Ewell. So where are we going next? We've got one of each. Well, we've got more than one of each position. We've covered each position. What do you reckon's next, boys?
What do you want?
Forward again.
You want to go forward again?
I think so.
Go on then. Yeah, all right. Let's go for another forward option. We can always trim down at the end. So what was your next forward option, Rick? Rick, you ready?
Yeah, okay.
Jackson Ewell again, playing up front.
My last forward played under the stewardship of Phil Neville my next forward plays under the stewardship of Wayne Rooney. I really believe in my strikers having an ex-Man United player to teach them. Also, this guy has a moustache, and his name is Taxiarchis Fontas, which I think is really nice. He was a big-time player, got a big-time move to the MLS to join DC. Silky smooth support striker who then got injured and has just come back into the team. So he came off the bench in the penultimate game and now he's back in the team. Basically, DC have got absolutely no one that can create anything up front. They've got Benteke as the main striker and they just need someone to service that big boy. And that will be Taxi's job.
Sounds like a porno.
He was historically capable of good scores. He came from, was it Greece, I think? Oh, he's over in Austria. That's where it was. Big money move, big reputation, big skill set, classy player to watch, back in the team. Him and Benteke are the big man, little man duo that everyone needs in their life. And because he's been out injured, his price has dropped to £141 for a designated player. I think that is extremely good value. And when you're a DP, that pretty much means you are nailed in the team unless you shag the manager's wife or something. So I think the only way is up for this pick. He's going to start playing every game now he's back, put in decent scores, and value-wise, likely to be one of the few players on the platform that rises. Stu hates my pick so much that he's left.
I'm not sure about Taxi Fontas, mate. I'll be honest with you.
I'm not sure either. I'm not sure.
Pretty sure he's on our giveaway wheel, isn't he? So if you're giving him away, then I'm not sure you should be. You should be giving him to Stu as an option, personally. But
I don't think you get a 0.09 player of that caliber. You know,
is he that caliber? I do not rate Taxi Fontas at all.
I don't either. And you wait till you see my pick because you'll flip in and get a better pick than that. I tell you that now.
Well, we might not ever find out if Stu doesn't come back. Maybe it's all of a sad.
Remember, this is a cap player, and his cap total is 38 at the moment. Coming back, that's going to be low for a long time. He can start up front for your cap 240 for a long time.
My cap player is less than that.
Good. So, I hope that you get a pick.
Just for the listeners, Stu, he lives out in the sticks. He's just texted me saying my signal's gone. So we could be building the rest of this on our own at this rate. So you've gone Taxi, right? Well, Stu can catch up.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to do my pick. There we go. I mean, he's there now, so there's my pick. I've gone for Jayden Nelson, which is a bit of a rogue pick. I've actually picked a couple of players from this league, one of which we'll show later. But I think a sort of undermined league for the summer is Norway. So Norway play throughout the summer.
Do they? I didn't know that.
It's not. Yeah, they played the whole entire summer. So they'll be getting utility along with MLS and Asia when the rest of Europe finishes. I think a lot of the Scandinavian leagues play later because they have massive winter breaks because all the pitches are on the snow, I guess. But obviously, Norway being one of the only leagues that is actually covered. I don't think Sweden's covered, and definitely isn't.
No.
But, so Rosenborg, who he's joined on loan from, I can't remember
Toronto.
the team he's joined. Is it Toronto? It's directly from Toronto.
That's where he's from, unless he's moved somewhere else in between.
Yeah, so Rosenborg are by far the biggest team in Norway. I think they've won the most titles in the history of the Norwegian leagues. He's also by far their most valuable player on their whole entire roster. So he's going to be starting. He's down as a forward. I think he plays as a winger, so he's not actually playing up front, but he is going to play every week for the best team in a league where you'd imagine they'll have a similar sort of effect as Celtic and Rangers in Scotland, sort of thing, with the best teams and the worst teams. Like, I'm not going to claim I'm some sort of expert in Norwegian football. I don't know much about them, but I'd imagine the disparity between the worst teams in Norway and the best teams in Norway is quite large. If you look at his scores, they don't look fantastic. A lot of these are bench appearances for Toronto. I think he's only 18, he goes 20, sorry. But he's been developing through Toronto, coming off the bench a lot. He's got the capability to score some good scores. I think he's going to absolutely nail it during the summer months this summer, and he's 0.07, so 100 quid roughly. His last 15 is 37. I just think he's quid's in, mate. Get him in.
I like the cap a lot. Very tempting. Yeah. Very, very tempting.
And now my internet's gone as well. So, internet's
right,
obviously down. And
I'm taking over. I've had enough of this. Okay. So, Julio Furch is my recommendation. So the big target man at Atlas. So you can pick him up for 84 quid, which is lower than his last sale. So you can probably pick him up for lower than that, probably around 80 or below. Cap is 51, so a little bit higher than I'd like. But I think he is a nailed starter. I know that for a fact. He's been a nailed starter for a long time. Typically, he hits around sort of the ranges from 40 mark to 75-ish, depending on if he scores or not. So he is dependent on his decisives. But Atlas typically are one of the more dominant teams. And again, picking up a main striker from a fairly dominant team for 80-ish quid for me that's value. And again, as a summer option. So my recommendation is Julio Furch. We will never find out who he picks.
I think Furch is a fairly steady.
I think we should decide between us. Yeah. By the way, now he's off. So go on.
I think Furch is a steady option. I think Fontas has got a low cap with strong upside, but hasn't done anything this season so far. And Johnny's has great potential, but actually hasn't done anything yet. So. Do you want a gamble or do you want to secure? So I think maybe we put Furch on for him and maybe one of mine and Johnny's as the non-safe option.
I'd suggest mine. Taxi for Fontas, I say. Taxi for Fontas.
We'll only be able to pick one though. So consider that we've already got up front Swiderski, Brian White, and then whoever we add in here. So if it's Furch as well, likelihood is we're going to be pushing cap to the max with 3 strikers like that.
Well, let's pick one name each. I'm going to say Furch.
Furch for me.
Put him on then. Let's go.
Done. Right.
Next position.
Next up. So we need to start saving some cash. So we're now going. We need to get in a defender, a midfielder, and a limited goalkeeper. So let's try and go in budget on that as well, based on what we spent already. Ricky, you ready? Have you got anyone in mind? You can take your pick and go limited goalkeeper, defender, or rare midfielder.
I can do the limited goalie for you if you like, because this one's really easy. It's my boy. Completing my top 3 of favourite players after Yule and Fukimori is the Crep Man, Maximum Crepery. LAFC, one of the better teams in the MLS. He is their guaranteed starter. Well, McCarthy's done well, but you have to presume Crepau is coming back in to start. He's had documentaries and things of him that his progress is going well. So you think he's coming back soon. And his price is really low compared to some of the starters for someone you think will be back shortly. So for £27, I really like his usage ability for the rest of the summer. And LAFC have solid defensive lineup that can put up clean sheets, which gives him these scores you see in the top half here. So my suggestion would be the Crep Dog.
Nice. I like that. He was on my list as well. John, who you got?
Well, I have to be boring and say that I also put Crep.
Right.
So I've got a bit of a soft spot for Crep, obviously, as well, as have we all. But yeah, he's good value at the moment for one of the best teams, like Ricky said. I've also put Tyler Miller in just as a little sort of extra pick. Card. I think he's nailed at DC United. He's DC United aren't that great, but he's performing well. He's having to do a lot of saves because DC United aren't good, but he's performing admirably. He's far better than their reserve keeper. I think Bono, is it? Alex Bono.
Yeah.
And you can pick him up for about £7 or £8 less than Crep. So if I wasn't to suggest Crep, which I am, I'd go Tyler Miller. Would be my next best one for £7 less.
Nice, good choice. I've funny enough, Crep was also my original choice. Which leads me to think we should probably recommend him. The only thing that made me second check it was obviously he's still injured at the minute, so he doesn't get the initial play out of his 220 team. So I did wonder whether we go Crep and then try and if we can save the budget, put in a super cheap Euro keeper as well, because there's a few available for about £15, just so he's still playing.
Oh, there's some real cheap ones.
So keep that in mind. I will show you the other option I had. So the other option I had was Ep8, who is again last 3 days sold at £23. So you're looking at 20 to £27, depending on if you can pay top dollar, which you're not. He's good because he's got a 38 as his cap at the minute. He fell out with the coach because he's a bit of a tosser, but played the last match. So he's back in. Let me go to his scores. So yeah, he came back into the last match, hit a 58, pretty solid, in a 1-1. Historical data as well, generally speaking, he hits around the 50 mark or plus. So he's actually quite a good scorer unless he has a bad game or is injured. So I think, again, at price, right now he's probably a better option than Crepo, but Crepo is the better option once Crepo is fit. Who are we going for?
I think we go for Crep.
I think you got to go Crep. Yeah, I think
if you got 10 to 15 left at the end, you can add another limited goalie in as well.
Perfect. Right, let's do that then. Let's go. Take us back to the old shortlist. In fact, I won't put Crepo in there because he'll change the price of everyone because they do it by rare. So we know Crep costs around 27, so we'll add 27 at the end. Right, yep. So limited GK done. Defender midfielder to go in rare.
In rare, okay.
Yeah.
I will offer you up a rare defender. And so that rare defender is Brooks Lennon, who was also on the books at Liverpool.
Oh, hang on. Speaking of Liverpool, we must have heard you because we have the man is back.
The man is back. Brooks Lennon, £89, has a strong L15 cap, which isn't exactly what we're looking for. But as we pick so many players with low L15 caps, someone's got to have a high cap, right? We can't just have a team of 39s. And I love his ability to put in decent scores from a fullback position. 33 AA in his last game, a goal, assist, strong AA, makes things happen. Playing 90 minutes every game, a double assist down here. I like his gravy. The man can put up big scores and he can put up decisives. And I like the way Atalanta use him in an advanced fullback position. So Boomting, Brooks Lennon, get him in your team.
It's a pricey pick though, £8-9.
£89. I think we got the budget, mate. I think we got the budget.
I'm not sure. Go on, John. Who you got?
So you got rare defender. I'm going to go for a rare midfielder. If you want to share my screen for me.
Are you completely switching up? Are you? Whilst we're on the defender choice.
Yeah, I am. So I've gone for Taro Yamaguchi. So I own his limited. So obviously I know his scores are pretty good. I just saw his price and thought that is crazy good price for a player who plays for what is turning out to be one of the better teams this season. I think Vissel was struggling a lot last year. They just managed to stay up by skin in their teeth, despite the fact their squad was far superior to all the other teams down the bottom. He plays sort of deep lying centre midfielder, so he doesn't get a huge amount of decisives, but I'm just looking at his scores here, which I presume you can see on the screen. Like, he is extremely solid. There's nothing there less than 29, 30 points, and he is banging in decisives. His AA is like, look at this AA here. Like, when you're putting up sort of anything between sort of 15 and 30 AA, he's a good player. And I think at the price at the moment, which is, I think, roughly the same as what Ricky was just saying there, 90 quid, I think he's a bargain. And his last 15 is 53, which isn't excessive for a cap 240. He's going to give you summer utility. I think he's a good one. Get him in.
Nice. And is he a midfielder card? Can I just clarify?
Yes, midfielder card. Sorry.
Okay, cool. So hold that one for in a minute, Stu. So we're covering the defenders. Ricky's pitch forwards. Who did you pitch forward, Rick?
Brooks Lennon, ex-Liv 123.
Cool. So my defensive option is.
I missed that. Sorry, everyone. Yeah. I thought you said pick defender or midfielder. I thought Ricky said midfielder there. Apologies.
So my defensive option. I'm going to try and save you a little bit of cash here, Stu, because I know your line of work, and I know you like to save money where you can. So we've gone for Ryan Hollingshead. So regardless of what his scores are, he's debatably the best right back in the league. Probably Kai Wagner's slightly above him. People think he's way above him just his scores on So Rare, but in real life, Hollingshead's one of the best fullbacks in the league. He's available for 29 quid, which is ridiculous. He plays CCL, which is like the Champions League version of the Americas. Cap money is 48, so he's like, again, slightly above 45, but it's still not too bad. Lots of utility. LA are one of the best teams in the league, and he's peaky. So because he's a fullback, so centre backs tend to be like quite solid and consistent with their scoring. Fullbacks are like either pretty shite or like really good. So I like him because he can hit decent peaks, even without scoring. So his last match, he had an all-round of 40. Didn't do anything other than get a clean sheet and get lots of touch on the ball. So yeah, and historical data, he's always kind of done that. He's always produced it. In fact, he probably did it more regularly. So Hollingshead at 29 quid is my shout.
As aside from this, is that my other rare defender, if I'd said a defender, was also Ryan Hollingshead. So
is it really?
Yeah, he's on my list here, right in front of me. I just think his price. I swear, every time I watch LA, he's like up front as well. He's always seems to be
he's really attacking, isn't he?
Okay, well then we pick Hollingshead, right? I mean, I think Lennon's a great player, but 2-1, I think we put Hollingshead on the list.
I am a fan of Lennon, to be fair. I went for Hollingshead purely on value in the end. Hollingshead is in the team. Right, and next up then, midfield. So, John, you've already shared your guy, haven't you? Is it Yamaguchi?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, Yamaguchi. Good
Rick,
money.
who have you got for us?
Yeah, I'd considered some Asian players, but we've seemed to have gone very America heavy, and Europe heavy. So I am going to throw up. Here he is. That's Kakaba. I mentioned him as a toilet tip at some point earlier on in proceedings, and he has gone from strength to strength from there. He's £100, but I really feel like we've been cutting ourselves pretty cheap so far. So I think we can afford him. His SO5 scores since playing for Estudiantes in Argentina have been really good. He's chipped in with 3 goals in his last 5 games as well from the centre of the park, which I like to see. He's got an AA game about him as well. Only 26. And I think he can be the solid weight in the middle of our midfield that adds the 60 odd points we need each week to clear us over the cap comfortably. I was tempted to say Paxton Pomacale instead, but I think Askakabar being an ex-Hertha Berlin player is the reason why I've plumped for him instead. So he's my shout.
Nice, Rick. I like that. I'm
back in the room.
Oh, hello. Good to see you, mate.
Sorry about that. Slight technical issues.
Having a true battle there, aren't you?
Major technical issues. First time it's ever happened. Just completely shut down on me the internet. But other than that, fine.
Don't worry, mate. We're busy having a great time spending your money.
How's it going? Have I got anything left?
So no. In fact, you owe us more. Right. So who am I going for? I've got a few options here, right? I think I'm going to go for, knowing that we've gone for Julio Furch already. I'm going to go for Brian Lozano as a little stack.
He was one of my picks as well.
Was he? There you go. So he's L15 48, so he falls below the 50, nearly 45. 73 quid in terms of cost. Last sale, available at 80, so you probably get him for around between 70 and 80. Obviously, he's transferred, so he was. Who was this team he played? I can't believe remember now. They're another Mexican team, aren't they?
He was at Santos Laguna.
That's it. Santos.
And then he went on loan to a team that in, I think, Venezuela or something that wasn't covered. It was a non-covered league. Yeah, so his price just went out like to the floor, and then he's rejoined obviously a covered league. He's a good player. He's starting to find his feet now in the team as well. So I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah.
Player, but yeah.
Well, generally, the reason I've gone for him is A is price, B because I talk about stacking Stuart. So, as in he plays in midfield, we've already given you a striker from his team. So, if the team have a good game, typically both of them should score well. And if he claims the assist for the striker's goal, then you're on to a winner. His scores here are pretty solid. The only one that's been a bit pants is this one here, which is like understandable. He hit a yellow card, which reduces his score, and also it's against Philadelphia Union, who are, in my opinion, the best team in the MLS. So, and they're better than Atlas, and they beat them. So, kind of ignore that one. Generally speaking, he scores well, and if you're going for 48 as your base number, 51, 93, 49, like generally speaking, he's going to hit there or above. So Lozano is my choice or suggestion for you. Stu, while you've been off, and because you've missed a little bit there, what we've been doing is just deciding between the three of us, kind of picking which one. Okay. So we do it on this one just because you're catching up, and then we'll go back to the old format. So, boys, what do we reckon out those three?
So we've gone for Lozano, who is a bit cheaper, but is starting to find his feet. We've got Yamaguchi, who is really solid, a bit more expensive, and then we've got, what was your pick, Rick? Sorry.
Askakabar.
Yeah, that's it.
And he's about the same price, a little bit more than Yamaguchi, I think, but also does really good scores. I think we've got room for two. I mean, we seem to have got a lot of low cap players at the moment. I wonder if we should try and get maybe Lozano as a low value one, and then one of either mine and Rick's as a bit higher value. I don't know if we've got enough space.
Yeah, I think I own a Lozano. Johnny had Lozano on the list, and Jesse's pick was Lozano, so I think he's an obvious one to go in. Yeah, I think we must be doing quite well under the cap because we haven't picked the high option on anything yet.
Well, should we have a little look? Let me share with you my white screen. There you go. So here's the budget builder. If we add in Lozano, which would be the 10th player, right? In fact, it's almost 11th because we've got the additional players on top, right?
We've got the additional players, yeah. We've got quite a stacked list.
So right now, the time that we went all three men in was Kenneth Powell, Fukumori, and Janssen. So we need to make a decision on who we drop out of that group. Because if you're going for prices wise or cost, we're currently sitting at 914 quid. So we're actually over budget.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but we've added a lot of extra players. So yeah, I think we've done quite well.
And that's also average cumulative prices. So obviously you can undercut that.
And we got Crep to put on top of that as well, 27 quid.
27 quid crap, yeah. So who are we dropping? We got to drop 2 defenders, which should cut off nearly 100 quid, right? These are our 3, or maybe you just drop off 1. To be fair,
we've only got 1 European player, right? That's not in goal.
Yeah.
So regardless of how good Kenneth Powell's scores are, it makes sense to get rid of the 1 European.
Yeah,
right?
he's the most expensive one as well. Yeah, I think.
Let's give him a shot.
As a good purchase for general future, I'd say he's very good. But in terms of our cap, probably.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 defenders at the minute. We've got Ryan Hollingshead, Fukumori, and Janssen. We've got Lozano, Yule, and that's it. So 2 midfielders, and we've got
just on the defenders,
Swiderski, and Brighton White.
Fukumori and Janssen.
You do.
I assume I missed the Hollingshead.
Yeah, so Hollingshead was a kind of budget pick at 29 quid, but he plays the equivalent of the Champions League and is he's good value for his price, basically. But then Fukumori is pretty much the same price. If you like Fukumori, you could argue for him over Hollingshead.
What are your thoughts?
Do we have 4 forwards as well?
We've got 3 forwards. We've got Furch, Swiderski, and White. So you could actually chop off. Potentially you could chop off Swiderski and you save yourself a lot of money, and you've got 2 starting strikers.
Yeah, but we need to have some players that are actually going to get good scores.
Yeah, we need a star striker. Yeah.
Yeah, we need
is he the star striker?
I'd say for that value, he 100% is.
If anything, I'd be tempted to cut Brian White and
I would as well.
Put in Cordova for when he comes back from injury, which shouldn't be too long. Should only be a couple of weeks, and he's their DP striker. So then maybe.
Well, if we've got Swiderski and Furch already, we've got 2 strikers, right? So do we even need another striker? So we'll get in Crepeau, who's our limited keeper, on top of that, which means that we've got an additional 1 player to fill, and our budget is. So we spent 772 quid. Crepeau takes, and that's obviously we can undercut that.
I think
29 quid on Crepeau.
I think the exact amount I have is 836.
Well, there you go. Should we spend another 36 quid?
Yeah, so we're at about exactly 800 with Crep, aren't we? So we've sort of built a squad for 800 quid.
We finished with a slot free for a midfielder, 35 quid budget to make offers on for that position, and obviously we'll accept suggestions from everyone else in the community on who else we could get in that slot. It's probably a better way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, we did. We got £800 worth of gallery. We did the job.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've definitely got a starting team which can earn ETH. I would say. So if I get a.
Is it worth taking a slight detour to Ricky currently, as Man United has just finished at 1-0? Would you like to reveal where you are currently in the Premier League?
Is it finished?
It's finished, mate. 1-0. Your guys have kept a clean. And I feel like we could have something major happening live on the street.
We have dropped from 3rd to 5th, but I will not, because Newcastle just scored a 5th goal in injury time.
Yes.
I think I peaked at 2nd, but Newcastle winning 5-1 has meant I've dropped down to 5th. But I am extremely happy.
Amazing. Tier 0. Tier 0. And isn't it Tier 1 as well? So Tier 0 could be something mental.
No, it's Tier 1. I've won a Tier 1.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought it said Tier 0.
Yeah. But I'm extremely happy with that. That's not your everyday occurrence. If West Ham had any form of defensive ability, we might have been all right. Unfortunately, 5th place. Very happy
days.
Right, are we set?
Yeah.
Perfect. Right, so we've spent 800 quid. In fact, we haven't spent it because Stuart's lost it somewhere in the ether on Sorare. But we set you up a shortlist anyway, Stu. So when you eventually receive that money, you can spend it, and then we can disappear into the sunset, and you'll never find us again. But it's been nice knowing you anyway.
Yeah.
And then Rick, didn't you want to do it, or was it Rick or John? One of you two want to do a little reminder on the comp?
Yeah, I can do that. So our Beat the Boys League You can see it, season 2, week 2 this week. First week, Johnny Dore took you all down, 95 entrants, and none of you managed to beat the boys. Johnny Dore was successful.
However, there is a sub giveaway that I'm doing on Twitter, giving away this lovely driver and also a card. So if you're still watching 1 hour and a half in and watching us, make sure you enter that competition. But sorry, yeah, Rick, carry on with the.
No. I'll show you one here. This is Johnny's competition. He's giving away this guy here, Navarro, and a driver. You just need to go and follow Sorare Thursday Club, SR_Thursday Club, and follow these tweets here, and that's how you can win Johnny's stuff. And yeah, join our league. Week 2, league's open. Here's the code. The link's on Twitter as well. All you have to do is beat us to be in a chance to win limiteds and monthly res. So get involved. And we had one more item. We had a cards giveaway that was left over. The Alassane Plie from Mönchengladbach that was not collected. We said we'd give it away to someone who followed us and subscribed and commented on last week's video, and the winner was Liam's random comment. So Liam, you just need to get in touch with any of us 3, comment on the video, Twitter, phone us, send us a letter, fax us, get in contact with any of us within the next week, and we'll send you a prize over. So yeah, that's the admin done.
Perfect, boys.
Happy days.
Stu, I hope you've had a great time, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Sorry about the technical issues, but I've got the important stuff down, and we'll get going with that. I've had a look now at some of the prices and what's about. So once that ETH drops, although I've got a little bit in there already, I can start the ball rolling. I can start making some offers and see where we get to.
Start making some money.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I meant.
Perfect, boys. And just as a final recap reminder, so on the shortlist, we've got Maxine Crepo, Brian Lozano, Ryan Hollingshead, Hulu Birch, Jackson Yule, Akito Fukumori, Robin Janssen, Karol Swiderski, and Neto. So that's the shortlist. We'll make it publicly available. Stu will buy them and start tearing Sorare apart, and that's it. So we'll see you all next week for episode 9.
Woo!
Cheers, boys.
Up the toffees.
Conte, up the toffees.
Viva la Thursday Club.